There we go. Hopefully we are live. Oh, I see. There's the little counter. Good. I'm doing it on the computer this time for the first time. Instead of my iPad, I've come into my studio because it's a bit more controllable with the light, and I'm using the computer, which also means that you see me right-handed today. I've got to keep remembering talking to the camera, not to the screen, but I can keep looking down. Hello, Annie. Oh, I'm glad you can see me this time. Yes, I nearly had a disaster because I ran a test earlier on to make sure it was working just to one specific person. Then I went live just now and forgot to set it back to public, but I suddenly remembered. So I've set it back to public now. So hopefully people who missed me last time can check in. Hopefully I won't have the technical issues I had last time where I had lighting problems and battery problems and all that sort of thing. Hello, Gabriella. So this time I've come into my studio and I'm using my main computer, so hopefully we should be glitch free with a bit of luck. There is a little delay. I think you're about 10 seconds behind me when I'm talking, so we'll see how that works with communication. Cheers. I've got a nice Sauvignon Blanc tonight to keep me company. Oh, fruity. But Emma, my first live one ever. I remembered. Oh, well done, you remembered. Jolly good. Oh, hello from Queensland. Blimey, Queensland, Australia. Okay, let me just double check something there. Look at my world clock. Oh gosh, really? Is it 5:30 in the morning or something over there? Is it? Goodness me. This is great. Oh, so nice to see you all clocking in there. That's good. Well, so today we're going to look at creating characters. So I'm just going to do a little scribble while I'm waiting for a few more people to join in. Might as well do a character that I'm quite familiar with. It is very awkward drawing sideways, I have to say, but there we go. It's what I'm getting used to it now. I've done a few of these. Here he is. Right, checking in. Hello from Belgium. Goodness me. Belgium, Australia, Bolton. Fantastic. Oh, Frankie's got a Merlot. Lovely. Okay, I'm glad everyone's joining me on the nice little tipple front. Probably not in Queensland, Australia. Got it sort of stupid o'clock in the morning, but there we go. So how are you all? Right, so yeah, I thought today, because I'm doing these new characters at the moment in the morning, these little sort of curious creatures and stuff, and a couple of weeks ago I did a thing, there was a children's thing on one Sunday, and I was asked if I could contribute to that. So I did a thing about the Wind in the Willows characters on that, about creating characters. And I thought it might be quite a nice thing to chat about tonight, about how I go about anthropomorphizing animal characters and just what sort of things go through my head when I am creating characters. I haven't really got a plan. I'm just going to draw, usual story, a bit like my life. I haven't got a plan. I just bundle along and hope for the best. I'll be glancing around and reading my little list, which is down here, every now and then to see if I can respond to anything anyone's asking. And fingers crossed, we'll have a little bit of fun. I'll be here. I'll probably be here for about an hour and a half, something like that, until either my back gives out or you get fed up with me and go. And we'll see what happens. It's nice to see all these people popping up. It's lovely from all over the shop, which is great. I think it's frozen a bit at the moment on the comments, but we will catch up again in a sec. Every now and then I'm going to lean down and just double check. Oh no, it hasn't frozen. It just hasn't been riding up. Okay, Yorkshire, Lancashire, Birmingham, Cornwall, Brighton. Oh, it's fantastic. This is lovely. Okay, well I might as well kick off then. So as you see, I've gone with white. I've gone white today. I'm running out of that big brown pad, so I thought I'd go onto my good old layout pad today, and we'll just sort of work on plain white. That way you'll be able to see my underdrawing a little bit as well, and we can just sort of take it from there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is hello Claire. Give Claire a wave. Hello Claire. All right, Claire, I'll give you a wave. So I'm gonna do these Wind in the Willows characters again that I did before. And when I talked to the kids, I was talking about how the fact that you think about the real animal like badgers, okay? And you'll remember when I've talked before about the underdrawing. Oh, it's a little bit burnt out, but that's okay. Some of the underdrawing. When you're looking at a badger, say for instance, that they're on all fours, and they've got this big, bulky back with some lovely black stripe there. Fluffy cheeks, long nose like that. Strong, powerful front legs, short back legs, and So, badger kind of looks like this. Yeah, that's pretty much what a badger looks like. And then you think, okay, so yeah, the beard's getting a little bit Gandalfy, isn't it now? Yeah. Foxes. Do you ever draw? I do draw foxes. I'll come on to foxes actually. Remind me that one later when I start running out, because there's a specific character I do with a fox, which I will talk about. Anyway, so you're looking at badger, you think, okay, badger in Wind in the Willows. You want to retain a badgery quality, but you also want to get it a little bit human-like as well. So first thing you're doing is putting him up on his hind legs, but trying to keep these same sort of proportions. So you think, right, okay, I'm gonna make him. So you've got that first shape of this thing, which is like a badger. If you turn sideways, you can see that's still quite badgery. The lighting is much better. Yeah, it is, isn't it? About the weasels. Yeah, I can do the weasels. But then you think, okay, well, the badgers have, the short back legs. Let's give them that. Let's make him powerful. And because they're quite strong, because badger, especially in the thing, he's strong. He's got his big stick, hasn't he, that he carries. Actually, that's going to look a bit rude. Let's just put it down there. That can be his other hand there. And then you still want to retain that shape of face. So you start pushing the thing around in these sort of shapes. And you think, okay, I've still got these badgery elements in here. The face shape is similar still. The legs are short, But now you can start putting in the details to make it more sort of human-like. So let's give him a shirt. And he's a bit of a country gentleman, so maybe he's got a cravat on. We'll give him the same ears and the stripe there. Lovely stripe. Do love a badger. And then, okay, as usual, I will occasionally go quiet while I'm just concentrating sometimes, but I'm sure you don't mind. So the head is still very similar, but then let's give him a nice sort of a nice tweed jacket or something like that, and his strong hands. He carries his cudgel. And his jacket, let's put his jacket there, give him a lapel. And of course, because he's a country gentleman, he'd have a waistcoat, wouldn't he, possibly have a chain on it as well. And a nice big baggy pair of trousers. His tail can stick out the back like that. His other arm at the side there. Nice baggy trousers, but surprisingly small, delicate feet. And there you go. So that's a way, sort of putting, trying to retain that badger-like quality, the proportions, the volumes of the badger, but sticking up on his hind legs, trying to find this new center of gravity, but still keeping it in this very badgery style. We did a similar thing with mole. Moles are quite similar. Okay, they're a very similar shape. If you look at the underdrawing of a mole, and we're not doing it to scale to each other. I mean, obviously, a mole to a badger is like about that big. They're tiny. There he is. That would be a mole to a badger. But I'm going to draw it up big, obviously, just so we can see what I'm talking about. And again, this is the sort of details that you that one thinks. So. They have these very strong, big front paws that they're very dark, and they've got these shiny paws there with the big claws on. And again, they have the little back feet, a little bit like the badger does. And of course, they're all velvety black. Okay, so a mole is kind of like that. Okay, so when we're putting Moley into a character, we're thinking personality as well as shapes. Okay, so let's put him in how you'd scale him to Badger. Maybe if you're doing a book version of Wind and Willow, say you wouldn't make him tiny like a real one, but you would make him considerably smaller. So again, he's got that similar underdrawing proportion, the circle head and the circle there that Badger had. Okay, but then, you know, I think because of that little digging quality, you'd maybe want to sort of hunch him over a bit more at the back there. And he's got almost more, he's a nervous little character. He's got an apologetic style. Okay, so he's going to be like that. And also, of course, you know, moles are notoriously short-sighted. You know, they practically blind above ground. So with these tiny eyes. So obviously, it's always nice with Mole to give him a nice pair of glasses so that he can see what he's doing above ground. And then, I think what we're going to get him. He'd probably wear a chunkier coat. He wouldn't have the cravat. Maybe he's got a little roll neck on like that. And I think it's quite nice for him to have little fingerless gloves or something, or chunky sleeves. So again, you can have his little hands out in front of him like this. Maybe his coat would be a little bit longer, almost more like an overcoat. So you can see, although they're similar shaped animals in a way, moles and badgers in a lot of ways in the underneath, when it comes to the detailing, it's all about thinking of their personality. Badger is much more upright and strong. Moley's kind of bent over, a little bit more apologetic. And so how about characterizing our pets for us? Oh, that's an interesting thing. We'll try some other specific animals and stuff in a minute, certainly. Let's just, I think we can fit another one on this page. We're going to look at Toad then. I mean, Ratty's Ratty. So toads. So obviously a real toad, you know, you're going to have the big back legs and the, let's just whack some underdrawing down so we can see where we're going with it. Right, so a toad, it's going to be like this, isn't it? Yeah. Got my usual thing, having to sort of do lunges to draw the things lower down on the page, but that's okay. And these big, powerful, longer legs and big feet. I'm not drawing a super detailed naturalist drawing of a toad, but you get the idea. You know, we're looking at toads there. They'll look something like that, aren't they? Okay. So when you want to put Toad on his feet in something like Wind in the Willows, you want to sort of retain that lovely rotundity. So let's build him on some big circles like that with no neck really on him. But then I think what's quite nice with him is to actually play with those long legs maybe. So and then we can give him quite large feet as well. Oh, they're just staying in the bottom of the brain. That's handy. And he's a very gregarious, larger than life character. So we'll put him in a nice big pose. Okay, so here's our underdrawing again for Toad. So you see this whole thing about, I've talked about this before, about when I draw underneath, I keep it all very loose and scribbly just to get the energy of the character, because you can always build the details up as you clean up. You remember my Toad of Toad Hall was visited. Brilliant. Okay, so let's give him a bit of personality here. And again, he's a bit of a country gent as well, obviously. So we'll give him a cravat and a waistcoat and everything as well, like Badger. But we'll see how, because of his body shape, things are going to hang very differently. So it's quite nice maybe to give him large lapels. And again, we talked a bit before about how, with material, how having the creased side and the straight side of material. Okay, rotundity. It is a good word, isn't it, Michelle? Yeah, I do love the word of rotundity. And then with him, we're going for these longer legs. And I think, you know, he's a bit of a country squire, so let's put him in his +4s. A nice pair of rather long. Oh, this is the awkward place to draw. I get a workout as well as drawing when I do these things. I mean, to sort of do lunges. There he is. So something like that with Toad. See, it's not just about the drawing. When you're creating a character, you've got to think of the personality and how the physicality echoes the personality of the character. And the way they stand is so important. Right, lovely. Okay, so there you go. There's some Wind in the Willows characters. That sort of kicks us off, really. Somebody asked earlier on, do I ever draw foxes? Well, I do, as it happens. It's quite, I say interesting to me. I'm going to draw a normal fox, and then I'm going to explain where I'm going to go from there. So a fox. Okay, let's use the edge of the pencil again. Let's do I'm always going to do the underdrawing because we sometimes get kids watching or people who are wanting to, you know, the sort of drawing tips sort of thing. I will constantly bang on about the underdrawing because I think it's the absolute bedrock of everything, of getting a drawing right, about using these volumes to get your shapes. Okay, so there you go. That's the sort of the underneath energy, the skeleton of the fox that we're working on. So yes, a fox. Okay. Get a lot of foxes here where I am. I'm very much in town. Well, it's a country town, but it is a town nevertheless. But opposite my house, there's a kind of little playing field with a lot of bushes down one end, and we have foxes living in there. And every so many nights you hear that screaming when the foxes are having sexy times, and it doesn't sound like a fun thing for the lady fox sexy times, I have to say. So they do tend to be a little bit noisy, but I do love them, and we get them around quite a lot. I know some people think of them as pests, and they are. And if you've got chickens and stuff, it must be a difficult thing. But I don't know. There's something about foxes. They're quite interesting characters. Okay, so there you go. So that's a fox. All right. Finally managed to catch me live. Hi. Yeah, I know. I've had so many problems tech-wise and forgetting to send it to public and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I think we got it right this time. And as I say, I'm using my computer. For those of you that have joined recently, I'm using my computer, not my iPad this time, which means you're getting me non-flipped. So you're getting the right-handed version today. You don't get to see the funky kitchen, but you do get to see my crappy little studio. Okay, so anyway, foxes. So I was asked quite a few years ago now, there was an ad campaign for Old Speckled Hen, which was a beer, and they had a Victorian fox character. And I was lucky enough to get the job to design him. So I came up with this character who basically looked something like this. Okay, let's see if we can get this looking about right, if I can remember. It's a long time since I've drawn this guy. So it had to be Victorian. We wanted to get the sort of essence of the clothing. It was all to do with witty. It was all, they were almost punch style adverts that they were going for. So they wanted to get that feel. I won't do the level of detail that I used to do, which had a lot of cross hatching and stuff in the original ones. But that fox noise is horrible. Yeah, isn't it just? Oh, God, it is. I'll just switch pens. I've got one that isn't quite so beaten up. I'll see if... No, I won't. I'll keep going with this one. Right, so, Mr. Foxy Fox. So what we did, we came up with a character that was basically a person with a fox head. just for the kind of style of campaign. So, and this is obviously going to be, as I keep saying, a very rough, slightly simplified, almost cartoony version of what I did with the character. But this is an interesting one about characterization, about what goes into building a character. So, yeah, he's coming together. Okay, that's good. So he sort of looked like that, and then he had this Victorian jacket. With a big collar like that, and it was box tails, so it was like that. It had a double-breasted waistcoat. It came there, had a little seal that used to hang there like that. Used to wear the seal hanging down. Looks like the speckled hen beer fox. It is the speckled hen beer fox because I did those illustrations. Lucinda, yeah, that's it. That was me. That was I drew them. So. There was a lot more cross-hatching and stuff in the original, but this is more about the shapes. You'll get the idea. You'll get where I'm going with it in a minute, because something interesting happened recently. So there we go. He kind of looked like this. That was the effect we went for, which was a sort of Victorian, and there was a lot of cross-hatch shading, and again using cross-hatch. Maybe we'll talk about that another time, about how you can use different pen strokes to get different shapes and things. But like that, and he actually had check trousers. There was a lovely red jacket, yellow trousers, blue waistcoat. So he kind of looked like that. Okay, that's the old speckled hen fox, and he ran quite successfully for several years as a campaign. Yeah. So thank you, Annie. Yeah, the detail of the clothing. Yeah. See, that sort of thing's important when you've got a character to design, and he had to be very specific Victorian. I researched the clothing of the period to make sure we got things right, like that special indent, the three-pronged collar thing with the little chip that comes out of it, and the box tails rather than pointed tails, which is more like evening dress. The short double-breasted waistcoat, full-fronted trousers. I wanted to get those details right in the character. So when you're doing characterization, it's really important to get those details right. Now, what happened recently, a couple of years back now, I think it was initially, they came back. The campaign ran for a while, then it stopped, and so they had some puppet for a bit, and it was all a bit weird. And they came back to me recently and said, we want to revive the old speckled hen, but we want it to be modern. We want it to feel like the old character, reminiscent of the old character, but he needs to be modern and upcoming and things. So we decided to make him a bit hipsterish, because the sort of hipster style throws back a little bit to the Victorian Edwardian style. So what happened is we recreated this guy. I mean, there are other details that are different. The line style wasn't quite so crosshatch. It's a lot more loose and modern ink style now. But basically, when it came to the character, we wanted to sort of make him familiar but different. So you'll see that basically it's the same principle of the build of the character, but it's the detailing that has made him different now. So he'll be saying cheers to himself, and let's see if I can remember how I do this guy, because again he's recent, but I haven't drawn him for a while. Did some animation with him as well, which was fun. I think they've gone online. I've seen the posters up on the underground, and he's gone online. So he's out there. He's out there on the campaign at the moment. You can seek him out somewhere, I think. Okay, so what we did, facially, he looks quite similar. There was he still had that same sense of foxiness about him. This pen's starting to get a little bit ragged. I should be switching pens shortly. But But obviously, this is where the details start to be different now, because we've got a modern guy, and he's a bit modern hipstery. So he doesn't have the big tie cravat and everything like that. He has an open neck shirt. He still wears a jacket, but it's a modern sort of blazer cut. So the lapels are, something like that. He does wear a waistcoat, but it's single-breasted, not double-breasted. Doesn't have a lapel. So a lot of it in the new guy is actually in the line style is what really holds them together. So you're not going to get the full effect of what the new guy is like, but you'll see how they live in the same world. And what he does, he actually wears a pair of jeans now, the new guy. But he does that thing of having them a bit like the young trendy types appear to do. He's got ankle boots, and he has that short trouser thing going on with the ankle boot, so that slightly rolled up feel. Oh, and of course I forgot a bit of detail, didn't I, on both of them. He does, of course, have the lovely brush, the lovely tail. So that's what we did with him. When it came to the redesign, we kept the feel, that sort of slightly Victorian feel that happens with the sort of hipster style clothing, but it was reminiscent but modern. So you can see that they live in the same world, but the detailing of the clothing is what gives the character the personality to the character. Trendy jeans, Foxy. Yeah. Cheers, guys. Lovely to see you all here. Cool. Right. So that was Foxes. So John Travolta, is that in No Fever? I think it's the shirt thing. It's the open collar outside. Good. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Okay, so let's have a think. Well, it's getting to that sort of point. And we've been going for about half an hour now. So, hey, hello, Hawaii. Hello from Arden and Gwen. Hello, guys. Lovely to see you. Just a quick recap for those of you that have just come in. Okay, we looked at some Wind in the Willows to start with. We're looking at taking, an animal and anthropomorphizing badger, mole, toad, and just the way that the clothes and the way they stand can give them character. And now we're looking at a fox, a period one and a modern one. This is based on an ad campaign that I do. The pen I'm using tonight is a Tombow brush pen. It's, where are we? That. Focus. No, go back a bit. It's a brush pen. It's actually got a normal nib at that end, which I never use, and a brush tip at that end, and that's the end I'm using at the moment. More of a wolf. Yeah, hello Emma. Yeah, dodo. Okay, we shall have a look at a dodo in a bit, maybe. Dodo is a dodo. I mean, the thing is, a dodo. Let's do something with the character, with the dodo, if we're going to do one. And the interesting challenge about things like that is, it's a bird. It's a bird, isn't it? I mean, actually, you know what? We will. Let's do the dodo thing. I'll use the dying pen still for now. A really fuzzy. Oh dear. A cheeky magpie with a metal detector. Hello, James. Go on then. Okay, so what I was doing? Oh yeah, dodo. All right. So listen, a dodo, as we know, famously extinct because they were rather too friendly, and just sort of came out. Hello, what are you here for? Oh, you're going to eat me? Okay. And they all got eaten, didn't they, by people? So. Okay, so there's our underdrawing. Again, all these things, one would usually use reference, but I'm diving in quick without and just sort of doing the best. So, Dodie says dodos are best. Thank you, Dodo. Dodos, dodies. Dear dodies, dodos. Right, okay. Having to do dodos from memory is not something you draw every day. There and there. So I guess a dodo, something like that, isn't it, really? Meerkat. Hello, Jackie. Meerkat. We'll get onto a meerkat in a minute then. Right. Bit of a dodo. Okay, so suppose you're having to, like I said, with a lot of these things we're going to look at tonight was anthropomorphizing characters. So you're doing a film and the dodo's got to be a character. He's going to walk and talk, and but he's going to get in an awful lot of trouble because he's too over friendly. And you've got to think, right, how am I going to put this on 2 legs? God, how am I? I'm literally doing this on the spot. I mean, that was the challenge of tonight, was to be put on the spot by people and try and think it through and to see if how the thought process works. Okay, all right. Wish me luck. I'm going in. Okay, so a lot of the time with the anthropomorphizing characters, I try to keep their heads as similar as possible to the real thing, and you want to play with that silhouette to sort of try and keep it as much like the real one, the realistic ones as possible. Now let me think. The tricky thing, I always find the difficult thing with birds when you're anthropomorphizing is that reverse back leg thing that I've talked about before, which isn't actually a reverse back leg, it's just a strangely proportioned foot. And it's like, do you make it into a normal leg, or do you still try and keep that bird thing going on? It's a tricky one. Quite often with birds, it's easier to sort of do the Donald Duck thing, and the lower part, you try and keep them quite birdy. Okay, so I've stuck him up on his hind legs, just to sort of, push him into that area. So listen, whoever it was that suggested, Michelle, was it, suggested the dodos. So I guess he's over friendly, he's innocent. I'm just trying to think of the sort of clothing to put him in. I think I'll just put him in a owl from Winnie the Pooh. I'll come into that in a second. Let's keep him nice and innocent. Let's just give him a sort of t-shirt. Oh, I know, a t-shirt and shorts. He's gonna look very cash. Okay, here we go. So often thought I should have music playing in the background for those silent moments when I'm just sort of just looking at the back of my head, looking at my ball patch while I'm talking. Never watched before. Great to see that. Off for an old speckled hen. Yay, good one, Lisa. Yeah, I think I've got a couple out there actually. I think I might partake later on. There we go. Something like that. Oh, thank you to say the silence is lovely. Yeah, probably just as an actor, do you give your drawings voices when you draw them? Do you know, Julie, actually, it's so funny. I do. When I'm drawing, sometimes I sort of, make it sometimes trying to get inside the personality of the character. you do start doing a voice, you think, oh, the dodo might be a little bit kind of nervous, and you suddenly find to make that voice, your head is sinking into your shoulders, and you're doing that. You go, well, hang on, that's what my body language is doing. So that's kind of what he should be doing. So he's a bit kind of like, oh, and yeah, so I do actually play with the stuff like that. So yeah, there we go. I hope that answers the question about the dodo, which was fun. I enjoyed that. Now somebody, oh yeah, Jackie mentioned a meerkat. Oh, okay. Well, let's have a look. The great thing about meerkats is that whole hind leg thing that they do, that very alert thing. And I know there's a lot of those sort of animals out there already. Anyway, you think, especially you think classically Timon as in Timon and Pumbaa in The Lion King. It's a very good meerkat. The way what they've done with him, and obviously so. I mean, I'm not a meerkat expert, I have to admit, but I mean, they kind of. We've got this going on. I think seahorse. Wow, that's a challenge. I'll have a go at that in a minute because that is a real challenge. So meerkats look something like that, I guess. Dung beetle. Now there's an interesting one because insects, they are quite tricky. Wow, so seahorse, dung beetle, those are seriously challenging. I think I'm going to give those a go in a minute because they sound hard. Hands and feet are difficult. They are. A couple of weeks back, I talked a little bit about hands, a little bit about feet, but I talked about hands. If you want to go back on my timeline, you'll see a bit where I talk about them. If I have some time later on, I might talk about them again briefly, just as a bit of a recap. Cheers. Right, so I think about meerkats. It's the meerkat's voice. Jilly, you're temptress. So I think he's going to be quite nervous like that. He's going to go, oh, what's that? Let's see. Is someone over there? Is it? Did I see anybody? No, I didn't see it. Oh, I think I did. So you can push that whole kind of. I mean, the thing is as well. There's 1,000,001 cartoon styles. I have a particular way of drawing. Several different styles. Other people draw completely differently. So there's no one way of doing any of these things. This is simply my way of doing it. But it's what I'm really talking about tonight more than anything is the way into characters, the way I think about them to try and create personalities out of them and to anthropomorphize them. So let's just see if I can do something with this meerkat. If you were making him a little bit more human now, let's have a think. I'm going to put him in that. Okay. He's a little bit nervous because he's out about. He shouldn't be. Maybe he's up to something he shouldn't be doing. Okay, so there's a similar thing going on with the underdrawing. I hope you're still there, Jackie, and you're enjoying your draw kittens, please, Gary. Just kittens, just kittens for the hell of it. Okay, so what I've what I've done with the meerkat really is try to do that whole thing of that upright thing, but I've pushed him off because we're anthropomorphizing him, making him human. The actual meerkats, they go up straight and they look around like that. But I thought the equivalent is going like, what's that over there? And giving that little lean that you might get as a human. So I've pushed that lean there, which involves just taking 1 foot off the ground ever so slightly to sort of push the lean, but still keeping the center of gravity so that he doesn't fall over. And exaggerating the eyes a bit, going for that expression. So, yeah, there we go. That's playing with the meerkat. I hope that met with approval, Jackie, if you're still there. Is drawing animal eyes the same as human eyes or different, please? It depends on the animal, to be honest, and it depends how far you're pushing the characterization. I will quickly talk about that, actually, because that is an interesting question. Well, it is to me. So, right. Oh, let's just think of any animal. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be a non-specific animal. Okay. As I start drawing, maybe I'll decide. I know. Let's do a mouse. Right. Okay. So, a mouse. Let's do 3 mices. Okay. So you've got the underdrawing there for mouse, and I hope the video will be up tomorrow. The video will stay, it'll be on my timeline. I will save it to my timeline if I don't make a mistake at the end and press the wrong button. Is it more difficult doing line drawing standing with the paper vertically than rather sitting and drawing horizontally? Yes, much more difficult, thank you. I usually draw at a sort of angle anyway. I draw at sort of a 30-degree angle. So they're never flat on the table. They are a little bit, but sometimes. But usually when I'm working, I have it angled slightly, so you're not drawing uphill. You are drawing sort of flat onto the paper, but I'm not upright. So I'm not only upright, I'm round a corner, which is why the drawings are a little bit scrappy usually and not the sort of detail. Plus I'm going quick so that I can get a lot of information. Okay, so you're drawing a mouse, and this was a question about eyes, not animal eyes, harder to draw than human eyes when you're doing characters and stuff. The answer is yes and no, I guess. It's sort of like, so a rodenty face is kind of like that, and they have these little dark dot eyes, don't they? It's mostly black, like little black beady button eyes. Okay, so you could, when anthropomorphizing a mouse character, you could use that to an extent. So say he's got his little, instead of being a real mouse, he's got a coat, but you could really still keep a very strong mousy element to the eyes and keep them looking like that, but have this kind of slightly anthropomorphized, character going on in there. And it would work. You could, hello, focus. You could get expression out of a face like that, or you can, take it that bit further and give them an eye that is closer to a human eye. So it doesn't come over very clearly, that one. It's a little bit better. Or you could go, you could go the whole hog, and you can go super cartoony, and then you just end up with the, it's how far you want to push the cartooning. It's how far you want to push the cartoon. So you've got the realistic animal eye, still quite realistic, but on an anthropomorphized head, a bit more of a human eye within an animal-shaped head, or going fully cartoony with the nice big Disney eyes, and you can do that. So I guess that's the answer about the eyes. I hope that was sort of vaguely enlightening. It's on a sort of character by character basis, really. Somebody has just asked me about Shakespeare and going the other way. So instead of actually anthropomorphizing an animal into sort of vaguely human, taking something like Shakespeare and turning him into an animal. That's a very good question. I guess he's an animal. Let me think. He's going to be. I've never thought about this ever. Shakespeare. There's a sense of wisdom, a sense of. There's also the baldness. Okay. 4 stages of mouse. I'm going to have a slurp of wine while I contemplate the Shakespeare question, because that is an interesting challenge. I haven't forgotten the seahorse and the bug, by the way. I will come back to them. So Shakespeare's an animal. God, wow, what an interesting challenge. Okay. Right. I have no idea if this is going to work, but we shall see. I'm not going to say what I'm doing yet. We shall just have to see if it does. That was quite an interesting challenge. And for those of you that are sort of watching the process in how I work, and genuinely how I work, that was you seeing my brain actually ticking over on the spot while someone threw me that ultimate challenge. Has it been enlarged the eyes, have reduced the size of the head? Yes, exactly. It was. I mean, it's partly to do with the fact that I'm drawing away from me, and I'm not actually, comparing them exactly, but also, as you're pushing the proportions and the cartoonifying more, you do change the proportion of one thing to the other, and it can make the head look smaller with bigger eyes. It's the principle of like drawing children as well, bigger eyes, in the head sort of thing. Right. Made it more cartoonified by doing that. Yeah. Rebecca. Hello, Becky, the challenge. The challenge really is I'm anthropomorphizing. I'm talking about how I create characters and anthropomorphizing animals and making them human-like. And this is a challenge someone just given me of making an animalified human of one of my favorite people. So here we go. I'm quiet again. Sorry, there's a bit of concentration going on. Do bear with me. I decided to go with dog legs rather than human legs. Oh, there we go. Making an animal with a human. It needs shoes. It depends on if you're on how human-y or animally you're going to do it. I sometimes feel if you want to retain a sense of the animal, leaving the sort of animal feet works with that. But going back to some of the early ones, yeah, when you were doing things like the Wind in the Willows ones, I definitely gave them shoes and feet and stuff like that. We're talking about the old speckled hen fox, just going back in. Shush. But then with other ones, we're making a decision not to, and I think that's on a character by character and job by job basis. So yeah, there we go. Shakespeare as a dog. Is that a beagle or a red setter? It's a dog. I don't know. It's something like that. I was thinking red setter when I first started drawing it. I must admit, like a very old setter, but not quite as refined. I wanted to get that smooth top and then the long ears, so it looked a bit like Shakespeare's hair. I can't think what I got about this smooth heads and long hair. I don't know where that comes from. No idea. Anyway, that was the Shakespeare as a dog thing. That was a great challenge. Now, somebody talked about bugs and somebody talked about seahorses. Seahorses is an incredible challenge. For a start, they're underwater. And you think about things like Finding Dory and stuff like that. They're basically, they still retain that very fish-like quality. And quite often, there's been a few films where they've taken them and they made them a bit more human, but I don't think they work. I think they nailed it in the Finding Dory, Finding Nemo films, where they kept that fishy quality. And what they did, I mean, is, and let's see if I can apply that to a seahorse then. God, I've got to remember what a seahorse looks like. I forget which way around the tail goes on a seahorse. I think it's that way around. And an actual seahorse kind of looks like this, doesn't it? They've got this, it's going to be cartoony straight away. I'm sorry about this, but so I know that seahorses kind of look like this. Okay, this is going to be rubbish, all right? But it's just an example, and I'd need to research this a lot more. Okay, so a seahorse kind of looks like that, right? I guess if I was going to anthropomorphize a seahorse a bit, and then the question is, are you going to make it a humanized character, or is the seahorse going to be a horse for someone else, another character to ride? Let's do that just for the hell of it. Okay, so I've got a useful head in already. So, but you want to make it so it's still got a bit of personality. But then you've got this other character. I'm going to be riding. Okay, this is going to get a bit surreal. Okay, let's see. You also have a hat, please. I think he should be a gentleman. It's so funny because there's this lag behind on you and me as well. So. Actually, yeah, okay, so. You know, you could get into that sort of zone. All these animals are men. Where are the ladies? I tell you what, I mean, to be perfectly honest, most of the time, because I'm a bloke, and you're doing that basic sort of creating a character, I just think in those terms because, you know, that's my first point of reference. We will do some female ones, actually. I think we should. Definitely. So anyway, seahorse. I mean, not brilliant, but you know. Don't forget male. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the male do male seahorses. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole world. I mean, the thing is, and this is the thing. As the comments are coming up, what's really interesting is there are 1,000,001 suggestions and comments and ways that you could take a thing. And that's one of the other things about designing characters is it's always very specific to the job that you're working on. Okay, and it's very easy to say, "I'll do a so and so as a so and so," but and I might see if I can touch on this in a minute by taking an animal and doing it for different kind of projects, maybe. But each job has its own set of demands, and that will sort of dictate how you design the character. Right, let's see what's happening up here. Let's see if we've got female there next time. Yeah, definitely, we're going to go for a female beetle. Okay, well, God, bloody hell, that beetle one is got really tricky. It's getting harder and harder by the minute, isn't it? Now, someone mentioned dung beetle, which, just to remind ourselves, I guess, you know, there we go. You know, dung beetles are kind of something like that, aren't they? I mean, that's what you get with a dung beetle. Okay. Bees, queens, workers, female beetle. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, again, there's 1,000 ways to go with these. So let's see if I can come up with something for a dung beetle then. Or female dung beetle. All right, we're getting somewhere. So you've got to draw a ball of dung. So and don't forget, of course, with a lot of this stuff, I mean, if you're actually designing a character, you'd work it up. You'd spend a while doing roughs. I mean, I'm going straight in here to sort of finished drawings, which you very rarely do. So, but it's just talking about principles more than actually doing particularly brilliant drawings necessarily. It's kind of not what it's about. Hopefully, it's just really about a little bit of natter and about if I can leave the odd tip that somebody can find useful, that would be great for them. I'd hope I could help, and just to bring the odd smile during these bizarre times in which we're living at the moment. That's the main reason for doing this stuff, to be honest. It entertains me, and I hope it entertains you as well. Oh, there we go. I mean, that is a way of working up. Don't walk backwards. Okay, it's not a nature documentary. I've seen them rolling it forwards. I'm sure I have. I'm sure I've seen them do both. But anyway, as I say, it's not a nature documentary. It's just how to draw a bug in it. And as I mentioned before, one would do research usually, as opposed to try to draw 1,000 drawings in an hour. I done good. Oh, James, dearie me. Right. Anyway, so So there's another grasshopper. I'm just seeing one go out the top. I'm imagining someone's talking about A Bug's Life with the scary grasshoppers. Yes. Gosh, blimey, so I can't keep up with all the comments, I have to admit. Yeah, it's let's have a think. Let's have a think about another character. Let's have a look at another way we can talk about characterization, how we go about it. Yeah, so talking about the different ways a character can be interpreted for different projects. I think we'll come on to that in a minute. You gotta have a big glass, Austin. It's got to be done. It helps with the smell, you know. Okay, so let's find an animal that's quite an easy one to draw that we can then look at in terms of how you would do it for different kinds of projects. Golly gosh. Okay. Alpaca. Blimey. Jesus. Tiger. All right, a tiger. I mean, tricky, but we'll try this with a tiger. Okay. So first of all, let's just draw a tiger. All right, just for the hell of it, we're just going to do a very quick tiger. Okay. Under drawing. There we go. Is it turn an animal to human? Is it easier to turn an animal to a human or the other way around? Interesting question. Again, it kind of depends on the project. I mean, usually it's easier to take an animal and anthropomorphize that into a human, but I have often thought about taking these things I do in the mornings. At the moment, I'm doing these curious creatures. I had considered looking at a series of human characters and doing animal versions of Shakespeare characters or something like that. But yeah, we'll see. But usually, I find it easier to turn that animal into a human. But you know, I don't know. It's an interesting question, though. Okay, I mean, I don't know why I'm doing this. Is the world's worst tiger, anyway. I don't even know why I'm drawing this tiger, to be honest, because everyone knows what a bloody tiger looks like, to be honest. But anyway, it's a basic tiger. Okay, I've bored myself with it already. Oh dear. Oh, hello. So I'm drawing around a corner. Okay, it's a tiger, right? It's a stripy cat, whatever. Oh, I'm getting live updates from Hawaii. That's nice. Oh, cute. Mix them. Are we not both animal? Yeah, well, exactly. We are. Kind of what they do in Wind of the Willows. Mix it with the humans and the animals, all totally interacted, and there's almost a sort of grey area, which is which is one, which is the other. And that's one of the reasons I love Wind of the Willows so much. Right, so if you think about, you know, cartoonifying and making a character out of tigers, and again, I'm not going to do this brilliantly because I just don't have the time to get it right. But you know, you think about something like the Jungle Book, and this is not going to be in any way, shape, or form anything like the sort of drawing that you've got in the Jungle Book movie, the wonderful Disney movie. Milt Kahl's incredible design for Shere Khan with the voice by George Sanders, which was just one of the great animation characters. But you know, you got this thing where they take an animal and they still kept the animal quality, but just pushed it a bit. So he had this kind of very refined, you know, lazy sort of way of talking and taking that, elongating that face of a tiger and okay, I'm going to really rush parts of the body on this because otherwise you'd be here all night just watching me drawing this stuff, which is, you know, it's all well and good, but it's more about talking about the principles, I think, that we were looking at tonight. But you see how, you know, you can cartoonify a character by making that sort of, you know, that sort of long face like that, and then you might want to have maybe you're doing a sort of film that's a bit more like the kind of Zootopia, Zootropolis kind of film, and you want to get a character of a tiger who's a bit more almost like a human, tough guy. So we're going to stick him up on his on two legs. We're going to give him that human leg idea. So, you know, pushing a tiger into that sort of more human zone like that. And then you think about something like in the Incredible Calvin and Hobbes, where the tiger itself could be, you know, you're doing something really cartoony. So you could put your tiger into this kind of a zone. I've kind of forgotten what the original question was on this actually now, but this does show a kind of example of how, you know, there is no one way to take a character and anthropomorphize it, you know. You know, so kind of these are all tigers of different times. You know, you can take one animal and you can push it a million different ways depending on what the job or, you know, the requirement is of that particular brief that you've got. And it's things with the eyes. It's, you know, it's different ways of just approaching, different ways of thinking about it. I mean, hopefully you can see that all those are originally a tiger, even though they don't look like tigers. There's a tiger in your tank, exactly. Yeah, I remember the old tiger in the tank, exactly. The old Esso ads. That's right. Simon Drew's Noah arc going 4x4. It's really like Simon Drew. I don't know that one. Oh, Tigger, of course. We've got to get Tigger in there, haven't we? Let's see if I can remember how Tigger looks. Gosh, it's a long time since I've drawn him. Let's have a look, see if I can get him. Was that him? Something like that. Yeah. Tigger. I think there was some There we go. Something like that. There's so much it does. It really does. Rings a bell. I'll have to look him up. I'm running out. That can't be good. I won't go get any more. It'll take me ages to come get it. Okay, so I'm missing loads. I'm sure I'll have to read through all these at some point. But okay, I'm very aware that I haven't done enough female ones, so let's think of another animal we can push into the girly zone, which would be rather nice. I love drawing women as well. It's just that for the ease and quickness when I'm drawing, quite often it's easier to sort of just do the male ones straight off. What figure is the best? A lady elephant, please. Oh, okay. All right. Shall I just go straight? I'll go straight into the cartoon one, I think, for the elephant. So let's go. Okay. Let's. All right. Left. Oh, right. Okay. We're going to go. I'm going to get very silly with this one. It'd be nice to sort of do something. Yeah, I do love the elephant idea. So I'm gonna play with this one a little bit in terms of expectations, quite possibly. You're certainly not going to expect it to be doing this. And this is going to bring into play a few things we've talked about in previous weeks, I think, as well, about characterization. I might take a little bit longer on this one, maybe just a little bit longer, just to sort of say magpie, giraffe, guinea pig, squirrel. Wow, lots of names of things, so many things. Zebra. Okay, I think the elephant was such a challenge. I'm going to do something quite bizarre here, but hopefully it will lose. I think she's playing the lead in Hello Dolly. I just suddenly got this image when you said do an elephant, to do a sort of Victorian lady, elegant promenading lady elephant. I don't know why, but it amused me, and it was a challenge to take such a big, wonderful animal and put it in something lacy and delicate. See what I could do with it. So there we go. There's your elephant. Now let's have a look. Squirrel, lady zebra, pug, giraffe, magpie. Lady kangaroo. Oh, this is bad. Hedgehog. God, blimey. Okay. All right. Let's see what we can do here. This is trying to put horses up on two legs, which is what I'm trying to do here. And it's like mainly going for that human effect body, but with a kind of foot. But it's not a horse, it's going to be a zebra. Quite a challenge. There's always the question, what do you do with hands or feet? Especially with hooved animals. It's always quite a tricky one, that. And it was something that you would actually experiment with if you're doing this for real. As I said before, you wouldn't just dive straight in like this. You would play about with it quite a lot till you came up with the right solution to whatever it was you're creating. Ooh. Having a strain down the back of it again here. So my solution with her was to give her some chunky shoes, which could act as hooves. There we go. Female zebra. I think Wind the Willow's characters. Yeah, I mean, Wind the Willow's characters are mostly male. They are. Kenneth Graham, who's writing in that pre-First World War. It was a very male society at the point then, and it was about, and it was just before the First World War when that whole generation of young men was decimated in such a way. So it's that kind of swan song of the innocence that came before the First World War male. Sorry, I could go on and on about that book. I love it. Two young hedgehogs could be female twins. Amanda, you're obsessed with hedgehogs. As which animal would you draw yourself? What do you think, people? I don't know. Some people have said wolf. I always think like gorilla. I don't know. Probably a badger, to be honest. I do think I'm a bit of a badger. Lumbering and fuzzy. A little bit grumpy. Now, hang on, where were we? Elephant, zebra, puffin. Just going to scroll, see if I've missed anything here. Oh, yes, that's right. I had somebody in very early in Australia. Okay, so as it's... Oh, well, I guess it's kind of... Oh, was that interesting? I don't know. I think that was an email. Of course, there is the lady kangaroo. Somebody asked for a lady kangaroo. Of course, there is the ultimate lovely lady kangaroo, which is, of course, Kangaroo's mummy, isn't it? The lovely kangaroo in Winnie the Pooh. See, I'm just drawing a kangaroo. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just drawing a kangaroo. That can't be right. Okay, so let's stop and think. What am I doing here? Okay. Okay, I know what I'm doing with her. Right. Kangaroos. You always think of them, you're good as a bear. Yeah, maybe a bear. Maybe you're right, guys. Bears. There seems to be a couple of cheeky monkey. Yeah. I just think myself as quite ape-like, but yeah, maybe bears. Bears or badgers. Something, one of the two. So kangaroo, for my friend in Australia there who's up very early in the morning. I always think of them as quite active, you know, sporty animals. But of course, they're the great mother with the pouch and everything like that. I thought maybe our kangaroo here could be one of those mums that you see out in the park. And in the absence of a pouch, we'll put her with a baby harness. Specially designed trainers to be worn with those kind of feet. And she's in her active wear, going for a morning jog with baby in pouch before meeting up with the other mum kangaroos for a post-jog coffee and a chat. A cafe in the park. There you go. Cool. Lady zebra. Lady zebra, lady kangaroo. I've got a gap here, look. I've got a gap here for something small. Let's have a look at something small. It's my thinking beard. Sorry, I'm doing that thinking thing. Grinding to a halt here. Oh gosh. Let's have a look. What other things did people suggest? A guinea pig, a tiny guinea pig. Yeah. Guinea pig. I suppose I'll put a guinea pig. Again, I was like, we'll anthropomorphisize the guinea pig good and proper. And we shall go for, let's have a think. What could the guinea pig have been up to? I hope it's been kind of interesting. I'm kind of, I'll go back through them quickly again, like I do quite often on these. I like to flick through at the end for people that have joined me later on, and I know a lot of people watch this on the catch up as well. I'm actually getting a little bit tired now. It's been quite a long day, so I'm going to pack it in very shortly. But thank you all so much for joining me and for the wonderful suggestions and everything that you've been making. They've been absolutely brilliant, and it's been lovely to have your company on this Thursday evening. We shall do it again, definitely. I shall think up a theme. I may leave it a week or so. I might not do it next week, just to give you and me a bit of a break from this, and then I'll come back. I might even do a recap session where I'm looking at basic principles again, which might not be a bad idea for people who've recently sort of discovered this feed and stuff. And I know that people, it never hurts to go back over stuff, I guess. And, you know, maybe we can do a bit of joining in next time. That might be an idea. Next time, maybe you can be joining in and posting your pictures as we go, sort of thing. Winnie the Pooh's male. What would his girlfriend look like? Oh my goodness, that's a challenge, isn't it? Oh dear, this is a major squat down job. World's worst guinea pig. Okay, let's stop there. I'm kind of, I think I'm all drawn out. A draw along. Yeah, we must do that. We must do that next time. I think I will. I'll do it a couple of weeks, and maybe in 2 weeks' time we'll do a draw along. Well, I'll say, right, come on, let's join in, and we'll do stuff, and I'll get you guys to post your pictures either in the comments if you can, or you know, we'll work out a way of doing it. I think you can post in the comments. I think you can put pictures in. You can just snap away or whatever. So let's just go back to the beginning and we'll quickly whiz through just a recap of what we've done for those of you that missed the start. So we looked at the Wind in the Willows, and we talked about how this whole began, about taking realistic animals and how the choices one makes when anthropomorphizing them into humanized versions, and choices of costume and pose and things like that to create character. Someone asked about a fox, and so we drew a fox, and then I talked about a campaign that I've done for Old Speckled Hen Beer, when it used to be a Victorian fox, and these days has gone to more of a hipster. But again, it's the style was similar, but it was always about the clothing that he wore and the choices he made with that. And then someone asked about a dodo, so it was trying to find, again, choices for character. Dodo, a little bit nervous, a little bit apologetic, and pushing a big fat bird like that onto two legs was quite an interesting challenge. Meerkat, that alertness of meerkats, turning it into some sort of little hoodie wearing guide on the lookout, making sure everything's okay. A question was asked about eyes, about animal eyes, and is it easier to draw human or animal eyes? So I talked about how you can, you know, with the little beady black dot animal eyes, how you can push them further and further and further into cartoonified eyes. Then somebody asked about what animal would I see Shakespeare as? So that was a challenge, maybe do a bit of thinking, and came up with this sort of doggy. Then we talked about a seahorse, which was a real challenge, and I decided at that point that the seahorse would be a horse. And then it was pointed out I hadn't done any females, so we just thought we'd go female. And someone had already asked about dung beetle, so I did a beetle, although it was pointed out dung beetles push backwards. Obviously, as I did point out, this is not a David Attenborough program, this is just about scribbling. And then we talked about tigers, about how one animal can be pushed lots of different ways when anthropomorphizing. Large glass of wine and late at night. So a tiger, and it was like looking at different ways you could draw the tiger. It's long lugubriousness, or sort of heavy human type, the sort of Hobbes type version or the Tigger type version, all still recognized to be tigers, all very, very different in style. And then we had some fun on the last page here. So I was just getting some more female characters in and just trying to have a bit of fun with them. So a sort of very fancy period Lady Elephant there, a bit of a Hello Dolly. Hello Nelly, maybe. Lady Zebra. I love that elegance of zebras. I thought, well, let's do a sort of long-limbed sort of female sort of sat there. You know. Kangaroo, sporty mum in her active wear with baby in a pouch. And a guinea pig, just basically just a guinea pig, really. You're still stumped on females. Story of my life. I don't know. I think we got quite a few there. I mean, as I say, it's all about the brief of the job. And if a job comes in that requires a female character, you do a female character. So for the ease of shorthand, for me being a male, it's easier to draw males, so which is why it starts off automatically as guys. But I actually quite enjoyed doing my I wasn't so much stumped on females, I stumped on ideas for animals by that point. I sort of got a little bit kind of my brain's turning to mush. Listen, thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I am looking forward to a couple of weeks' time when I think we will do a draw along. I'll plan some stuff in advance that we can do. I might even give you a bit of a heads up beforehand in the event, and we shall reconvene then. In the meantime, please, in the meantime, keep safe, keep well, keep drawing if you do, have a go at drawing if you don't, or bake a cake, or watch some telly, or stay in bed, or do whatever it takes for you to see this thing through. Thank you all so much. It's been fun as ever. Take care. See you in a couple of weeks. Goodbye. So hang on, it's telling me I can't end it.